The Vedas, meaning holy teaching or knowledge, are a collection of some of the oldest religious texts originating from ancient India and are written in Vedic Sanskrit. Now, in this video we'll explore 5 Vedic terms whose significance may transcend time. Now, why is this considered esoteric wisdom, and how is this of any particular importance to your spiritual awakening? The Vedic traditions of ancient India, which form the basis of Hinduism, in the minds of many people are filled with a tremendous wisdom, and they are definitely among the oldest spiritual traditions still practiced today. And after thousands of years, they still resonate deeply with modern spiritual seekers. And this is why you, whose soul is awakening, will definitely encounter these terms at one point or another. Now, let's start. Number 1. Prana, often referred to as life force or vital energy. In Vedic tradition is the energy that animates all living beings. It is the energy that permeates every living thing. Now, it's what keeps us alive, vibrant, and connected to the universe. In yogic practices, learning to control and channel prana through breath work, called pranayama, or meditation practices, is seen as key to enhancing physical health, mental clarity, and spiritual unfoldment. Now, Paramahansa Yogananda, the famous yogi who introduced yoga to the Western world in America, in his spiritual classic and bestseller book Autobiography of Yogi, talks about prana as follows. Prana is both the breath and the universal dynamics of the cosmos. In a footnote later in the same book, he proceeds to mention that while his guru Sri Yukteswar, who in my opinion is among the greatest of avatars to have lived in the 20th century India, well, he used the word prana, and Yogananda has translated it to life trance. The Hindu scriptures refer not only to Anu, meaning the atom, and to Paramanu, meaning beyond the atom, which are finer electronic energies, but also to prana, creative life-tronic force. Atoms and electrons are blind forces, but prana is inherently intelligent. Now, in the spermatoza and ova, for instance, the pranic life-trons guide the embryonic development according to a karmic design. Now, in my own meditations, I discovered that by focusing on God within, especially right here between the eyebrow, where the third eye or Ajna chakra is located, that the flow of prana is greatly enhanced. And it truly acts as an agent for purification, and it feels vitalizing. So, by cultivating awareness of prana, we can align with the natural rhythms of life, balance our internal energy, and deepen our connection to the divine flow that sustains us all. Now, number 2, Dharma. The next concept we'll get into is Dharma. It literally means cosmic law or duty. Now, Yogananda explains that the scriptures define Dharma as the natural universal laws whose observance enables man to save himself from degradation and suffering. Now, it is a comprehensive word for law and conformity to law or natural righteousness, and it is referring to man's duty inherent in the circumstances in which he finds himself at any given time. Now, when speaking about Dharma, we are also speaking about self-discipline, the life of responsibility and right action, corresponding to the Kshatriya stage of karmic development. Now, Hinduism tells each man to worship God according to his own faith or Dharma, and in this way at peace with all religions. Now, Dharma represents the universal principles that uphold the order of the cosmos. For each of us, living in alignment with our karma and living in accordance with our true purpose or calling in life. It's also about finding your unique path and contributing positively to the world. When we act according to Dharma, we bring harmony into our lives and into the lives of others. Now, number 3 is Maya. Now, this one's going to be interesting. Maya literally means illusion or magic, and it speaks to the illusionary nature of the world we live in. In Vedic teaching, Maya is the great mirage of perception. It is the force that creates the perception of duality and separation from the divine and separation from one another. Now, every lover of God and every practitioner who has some degree of divine or Vedic realization will tell you the fact that all is one. Now, I'm sure you've heard these exact words reiterated hundreds of times, but this is simply due to the inherent verity of the statement. Now, remember that in biblical lore, or according to Judeo-Christian mythology, Adam and Eve, the archetypal humans, were cast out of the Garden of Eden for eating the fruit from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So to succumb to Maya is eating of that fruit, the fruit of the forbidden tree. of the knowledge of good and evil. And this is what casts us out of heaven, so to speak. And please mark my words here. I am not talking about the exclusion from the heavenly paradise as some past event, but as an ongoing activity in our minds and everyday lives that brings about the phenomenon of divine hiddenness, or rather a reality in which God is not self-evident anymore. Now, it's what makes the material world appear real, even though at a deeper level it is all just a dream that we as souls who are inherently sparks of the divine are collectively dreaming. Now, an important truth to remember would be that everything is one and connected with the divine. Now, Maya may trap us in the cycles of desires, sufferings, and attachments if we're not aware, but it is every soul's destiny or dharma to awaken from this great illusion of Maya, and this is done by balancing inner polarities and through sacred yogic techniques. Now, in the near future, we'll cover all about that on this channel. So number 4, you've definitely heard before, and it is karma. Karma is the natural principle or law of cause and effect. What goes around comes around, so to speak. But in the spiritual sense, it's much more than just that. Translated from Sanskrit, it means action. And in Vedic philosophy, karma refers to the spiritual principle that every action we take, whether it's physical, emotional, or mental, has consequences. Now, these consequences can either be immediate or they can unfold over lifetimes. Now, this is where the concept of karma inseparably interconnects with the teachings of reincarnation. And I will upload a video soon outlining every reason why I personally do believe in reincarnation. And I highly recommend you stay connected so we can have a bit of a discussion about that as well. Anyway, according to Vedic tradition, it is our karma or the effect of our own actions in this and in previous lives that binds man's soul to the earth plane. So it is for lessons not yet learned and for actions that weren't rectified that the soul must reincarnate again and again until the debt is paid off and the soul has garnered all the wisdom from eating from the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and thus is not yet required again to once again entangle itself into the great illusion or Maya in yet another incarnation. Also, the karmic law requires that every human wish find ultimate fulfillment. Desire is thus the chain that binds man's soul to the reincarnational wheel. So spot the similarity to the Buddhist philosophy here. The physical karma or desires of man must also be completely worked out before his permanent stay in astral worlds becomes possible. Thus, karma teaches us to be mindful of our own actions, thoughts, and intentions as they shape our future experience. Now, whether good or bad, every deed leaves an imprint on our soul. Now, Yogananda beautifully outlines in his Autobiography, seeds of past karma cannot germinate if they are roasted in the divine fires of wisdom. And a yogi who faithfully follows its technique, and he's speaking about Kriya Yoga here, is gradually freed from karma or the universal chain of causation. By practicing good karma and living with awareness, we will not only advance on our spiritual journey, but also contribute to the release of negative world karma. But other than creating good karma for ourselves and living with awareness, what can we actually do to transmute the effects of our own past actions? Well, this brings us to number 5, yoga. Now, while many people today associate yoga with activity, postures, and exercises, the original meaning of yoga in the Vedic context goes far deeper. It literally means union, or to unite and to join, and in Vedic tradition, it refers to the union of the individual soul, Atman, with the universal consciousness, Brahman. Now, these are all terms we'll have to cover in part 2 of this series, but for now their simple mention will suffice. So yoga is a spiritual practice that includes not just physical postures, but also meditation, breath control, and ethical disciplines. Now, the purpose of yoga is to bring harmony to the body, mind, and spirit, and ultimately to realize our oneness with the divine. Now, I personally believe that the holiest and most scientific form of yoga is Kriya. So those of you who are familiar with Paramahansa Yogananda know that Kriya Yoga is the sacred form or technique of yoga that was given to Lahiri Mahashaya from the immortal yogi himself, Mahavata Babaji, and who later initiated Sri Yukteswar. Now, Yukteswar famously became the guru to initiate Paramahansa Yogananda into this sacred form of God realization. Again, I highly recommend you to read the Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda if you haven't already. It is truly the most amazing and insightful book that I personally have ever read to this day. There's so much truth contained within it, and it's available for free on the internet. I will put a link to the PDF in the video description. It is extremely difficult to find information about Kriya Yoga, so just be aware that the Autobiography is a great place to start. I am also going to cover everything that I dug up about Kriya Yoga on this channel. And there are also many layers we have not yet been able to cover in this video. So if this interests you and you want to follow along, subscribe. And if this video helped to stretch your awareness, please leave a like. And I'll see you next time. Thank you very much for watching.